All right, Bryan Johnson. Bryan Johnson, walk up here. You guys may know Bryan as the guy that sold a company for $800 million. You may know him as the guy who exchanges blood plasma with his son. You also may know him as the guy that has multi-hour midnight erections. But what I love about this crazy man is a tweet from 2 days ago, and he says this: "Dear humanity, I am building a religion. Here's what's going to happen. Don't die becomes the history's fastest growing ideology. It saves the human race and ushers in an existence more spectacular than we can imagine." Round of applause for this madman, Bryan Johnson.
Hi guys, nice to see you all. Good morning. How'd you sleep last night? Who slept for 8 hours? 7, 6, 5, 4. Good. I appreciate the honesty. 3, 2, 1. Any all-nighters? Okay, cool. All right, so I thought what we could do today is, talk about don't die as a religion. Is that okay for a topic? Okay, so this kind of came about. I did a thought experiment a couple years ago. I imagined being present in the 25th century. So we fast forward a few hundred years, and you're there with whoever exists, whether it's humans or digital intelligence, whether we upload ourselves, like whatever the situation is, we're there. And we imagine they're talking about us that exists right now, Homo sapiens in Austin, Texas in 2025. What did they say we did as a species that allowed intelligence to thrive in this part of the galaxy? Like, what did we do? And I thought about that question for like years, and I think they would say two things. They'd say, first, that humanity realized they were giving birth to superintelligence. There was this thing that was emergent that was incapable beyond their comprehension. And the number two is they figured out that death was no longer inevitable. And with those two insights, humanity remapped existence. So that's what don't die is. It's basically a contemplation of four basic things. The biggest shifts happening in the world right now. One, we are giving birth to superintelligence. Number two is there is no ideology in the world that helps us align AI. Number three is with AI, the survival of our species is no longer guaranteed. And four, with AI, death is no longer inevitable. If you put all those four things together and you say, okay, now what do we do in this circumstance? No existing ideology actually addresses it. Capitalism addresses things of money. Democracy addresses things of civic affairs. And religion addresses things of the soul, but they're very narrow. Don't die is a grand unifying theory on existence. It speaks to the universe via physics. It speaks to AI via math. It speaks to humans, living things, via biology. It speaks to software via computation. It's the universal translator between all intelligent life. And so that's what you need. Is if you go to AI, you need to have some kind of ideology that spans all intelligent life. And so what we've been trying to do over the past few years is when we arrived at this observation, I thought, how would you possibly explain this ideology? That would be very hard to do. People don't want to hear about biology, they want to hear about boners. And so I became, it's true, right? Like we know this. Like, by the way, okay, so the boner thing was not something I set out to do. It was an accident. But like we did this experiment where we were trying to rejuvenate my thymus. You know, this really important organ in your body for your immune system. We did all this work, like 8 months of work. We published our results. Nobody cared. Like, okay, whatever. But it's like one of the most important organs in your body for determining life and death. We do something on the penis, and it's like, wait, what? It's like, really, we've tried to figure out the language to speak about this thing. And so over the past 4 years, I've tried to become the most don't die person in human history. And that is like, if you basically take the approach and you say, if I have a life expectancy of 79 years, if I live in California, then you can take that on a daily basis and calculate how much do I die per day over 79 years. And then you can just say, all right, now if we take that baseline equation, what things accelerate my speed of aging? So you can say smoking, drinking, not sleeping well, toxins, and what things actually slow that down so I could live longer, eating well, sleeping well, exercising, all the stuff we know. And so we try to take an approach of just basically pure math. If you take my 35 trillion cells and you say, how fast are these 35 trillion cells aging, and can you slow it down? That's what we've tried to do. So we've tried to quantify every single thing that either accelerates aging in my body or slows it down. And we try to reverse aging damage. But it's entirely a mathematical and biological equation. And so I do weird things, like I go to bed on time, I exercise, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I don't participate in many of the social rituals we have today. That when you realize this and you peel back the onion, you realize that our entire existence is built around die. That up until this point, it's been YOLO, lol, we're going to die, and you justify your decision making, and now it's don't die. And so the endeavor here with don't die is basically this. We're going to try to mobilize a wartime effort across the planet towards don't die. Okay, so what does this look like? So we can do things individually for don't die. Something we're doing actually, which Ford just talked about, we're building an endeavor called Don't Die Certified, where I've learned over the past few years, I've been testing every single thing that goes into my body, all water, all air, all foods, all liquids. And we've discovered, as you all know, that things are very toxic. And so Don't Die Certified, we're going to try to map the US food OM, which means we're going to try to sequence the food, 80% of the foods that we consume on a daily basis as Americans through heavy metals, agrochemicals, glyphosate, et cetera. Now, doing this, we can then start making statements like the average American consumes blank, mercury per day. Now, that's a Don't Die Certified. You're trying to identify something that increases the speed of aging in our life. Also, you can do this with personal habits. Also, you can do things like we don't allow our children to smoke cigarettes, but we allow them to consume dye at school. So when they have a piece of pizza and a plastic-lined thing of chocolate milk and canned vegetables with BPA, it's a form of dye. And so you could do Don't Die in the form of a school lunch. And so Don't Die is basically working with the final boss of the universe, which is entropy. It's the thing that gets everybody, gets everything in the universe, all stars. And so Don't Die spans to all verticals of life. And so the goal here is that everybody on planet Earth is playing this brand new game. And the contemplation is that this is the ultimate game that intelligence plays. That when superintelligence awakens, existence is the highest virtue, period. That we move past these games of status and wealth accumulation that we do now, existence is the highest virtue. And so it's a pretty big shift of our mentality of how we think about things on a daily basis. So I'll pause there. Maybe we can talk about it just for a few minutes, and then we'll wrap. Any thoughts on this? Yeah.
So my question is, if nobody's going to die in 2 years, what happens to the population? What happens to the ability to sustain the human population? Are we going to send ourselves to other planets like this gentleman says?
The most famous example of like what if scenarios. Okay, so actually I'm gonna answer this question, then we're gonna do sleep real quick. Okay, actually, yeah. Okay, so two thought experiments for you. One is back in New York, before cars were around, horses were the primary mode of transportation. And there was manure all over New York. It was in the Hudson, it was in the streets. People were getting sick. It was an uncontrolled problem. It was an existential threat to their society. And they were panicking over what to do. And then Henry Ford made the car. And all the horses went away and so did the manure. So the problem they thought that was the problem wasn't the problem. And so if you read history, rarely are humans ever correct in identifying what the problem will be. And mostly, you can say if they think it's a problem, it's probably not. Right? It's just like humans have been very, very bad all throughout history in identifying what problems may come. And the second, what I'm proposing on Don't Die is that we are transitioning as a species from knowing to not knowing, meaning that AI will know more than any one of us. AI will discover better than any one of us as a species. That we are walking into this new era where we will be in this emergent reality with algorithms. That's a lot. But basically what the comparison is that we're like cavemen, that our understanding of these concepts of the future, we just can't quite grasp. And so Don't Die is the ultimate expression of humility. We just don't know what's coming. All right, so in 3 minutes, I'm gonna go through sleep stuff, okay? Everyone, can I get your attention? Sleep? Yes? Okay, cool. So after doing this for 4 years, I would say there's one biomarker that I prize over all other biomarkers. Okay, it's my resting heart rate before bed. So before I go to bed, I look at my wearable and I see where my heart rate is at. If it's 44 beats per minute, I'm guaranteed to have a perfect night's sleep. If it's 56, I'm gonna lose about 40% of my REM and my deep. Okay, so here's what you do in life to make sleep. Your number one, so You need to make sleep your number one life priority. You need to build your entire life around sleep. That's very counterintuitive, and it's not a form of weakness, it's a form of power. You will be better at everything you do if you make sleep your number one priority. Sleep leads to more willpower leads to greater exercise leads to better diet, like domino effect, okay? So number one is have your final meal of the day at least 2 hours before bed, if not 5, 6, or 7. My final meal of the day is at noon, so I have like 8 or 9 hours to digest before I eat. Yes, you'll be a little hungry, so just like find your right balance. Number two is you need to have a wind down routine. So before you go to bed, you need to have some kind of process where you tell your nervous system like calm down. So read a book, talk to a friend, take a bath, do a breathing exercise, meditate, but turn off screens and don't have fights and don't be in your email. Okay. 3 is you want to have red light, amber light in your homes. Blues are bad. 4 is you want consistency. So I achieved the best sleep score in human history, 8 months of perfect sleep. And in doing that, I was in bed, my bedtime at 8:30, within 1 minute every night. So just be within 30 minutes. But your body will respond very favorably to routine. And then 5, stimulants. So a caffeine has, for example, roughly a 6-hour half-life. So a cup of coffee at 6 p.m., you've got to have a cup of coffee in your body at midnight. Okay, so if you do those 5 things, you will have the best sleep of your life. When you have the best sleep of your life, you'll have the best life you've ever had. You'll have the most fulfilling and expansive conscious existence. So if you haven't made that commitment, I would encourage all of you, make sleep your number one life goal. It's kind of like what you hear on the airplane where they say, put the mask on first and then others. Sleep is that. It's really like the power source you have in life. All right, cool. Great to see you guys. I'm here all week, so I'm sure I'll see many of you at events throughout the week. Don't die.